I tried it. Here's what actually happened. So look, I'm the kind of guy who does way too much research before doing anything. I don't just jump into stuff. I read the forums, I watch the videos. I look at the numbers. I find the angles. And when I decided I wanted to try gambling, not like as a career, just something to do when I'm in Vegas with my buddies, I wasn't about to walk up to some slot machine and just hand over my money like an idiot. I wanted to find the smart way to do it, and I found it, or at least I thought I did. Craps, specifically betting on the 6 and the 8, house edge under 2%. You double your bets when you're running hot, you walk away when you hit your target. Simple, logical. The mathematically optimal approach to casino gambling. I still lost everything. And I'm going to tell you exactly why, exactly how the math works, and why it was literally never going to work no matter what I did. Not because I want to lecture you about gambling, but because I spent a lot of time and money learning this lesson, and maybe you can skip that part. Let me start with how I got here. I don't remember exactly when I first heard about the 6 and 8 strategy, but I know I was down some internet rabbit hole at like 2 a.m. looking at casino odds. You know how that goes. You start with one question, and 3 hours later you're reading academic papers about probability theory. What I found was that most casino games are basically robbery, like straight up theft with better lighting. Slot machines have a house edge somewhere between 5 and 15% depending on the machine. That means for every $100 you put in, you're expected to lose somewhere between $5 and $15. Not might lose. Expected to lose. The machines are programmed that way. It's not luck, it's software. Roulette isn't much better. American roulette, the kind with the 0 and the 0, has a house edge of 5.26%. That double zero exists for one reason only, and that reason is to take your money. If it was just a single zero, the odds would be much closer to fair. But casinos didn't put two zeros on there because they thought it looked cool. Blackjack is better if you know what you're doing. Basic strategy can get the house edge down to around 0.5%. Card counting can actually flip the edge to the player. But casinos know about card counting. They've known about it for decades. They have people watching for it. They'll kick you out, ban you, share your face with other casinos. It's not really a viable thing for most people, so I'm going through all this research, looking for the absolute lowest house edge I can find in a casino, and I land on craps. Now, craps always intimidated me. It's that loud game in the middle of the floor where everyone's screaming and there's dice flying and chips everywhere and it looks like complete chaos. I had no idea what was happening every time I walked past it, but when I actually sat down and learned the game, I realized something. Craps has some of the best odds in the entire casino. The pass line bet has a house edge of only 1.41%. That's almost nothing. That's basically a coin flip with a tiny, tiny thumb on the scale. And then I found the 6 and 8 place bets. Here's the math. When you roll two dice, there are 36 possible combinations. 6 sides times 6 sides. The most common outcome is 7 because there are 6 different ways to roll it. 1 and 6, 2 and 5, 3 and 4, and so on. 6 combinations out of 36. The second most common numbers are 6 and 8. There are 5 ways to roll a 6 and 5 ways to roll an 8. So after 7, these are your best bets in terms of probability. You're betting on numbers that actually come up frequently. The place bet on 6 or 8 pays 7 to 6. So if you bet $6 and the number hits before a 7, you win $7. The house edge on this bet is 1.52%, 1.52%. That's it. That's barely anything. For every $100 you bet, you're only expected to lose $1.50. Compare that to slots where you're losing $5 to $15 per hundred. Compare that to roulette where you're losing over $5 per hundred. The 6 and 8 in craps seemed like the smart play, so I built a system around it. The strategy was simple. I'd bet $6 on the 6 and $6 on the 8, $12 total on the table. If either number hit before a 7, I'd win $7. If a 7 came first, I'd lose both bets. But here's where I thought I was being clever. When I won, I would press my bet. That means I'd take my winnings and add them to my original bet, making it bigger. So if I had $6 on the 6 and it hit, I'd win 7. I'd tell the dealer to press it, they'd add 6 to my bet, and now I've got 12 on the 6. If it hits again, I win 14 instead of 7. During a hot roll, when the shooter is throwing sixes and eights over and over, you can run this up fast. I've seen guys turn $50 into 500 just riding a hot streak and pressing their bets aggressively. I also set rules for myself. Win goal: when I'm up 20%, I leave. Loss limit: when I'm down 50%, I leave. Never chase losses. Never get greedy. Stick to the plan. This sounds disciplined. This sounds rational. This sounds like the kind of thing a smart person would do. It's not. And I'm going to tell you why. The first time I tried this, it worked beautifully. I walked up to a craps table with $200. That was my bankroll for the session. I converted to chips, waited for a point to be established, and put 6 on the 6, 6 on the 8. The shooter rolled. 8. I won $7. I pressed my 8 up to 12. Shooter rolled again. 6, won 7 on that. Pressed it 2. Then the magic happened. The shooter went on an absolute tear. 6, 8, 6, 9, 4, 6, 8, 8, 6. Every time my numbers hit, I pressed. My $12 starting bet turned into over 100 in profit. Then the 7 came and wiped out my bets, but I was still way up. I had been taking some profit along the way. I walked out of there with maybe 150 more than I came in with in like an hour. I thought I had figured something out. I went back the next day and won again, not as much, maybe $50, but 2 days in a row. The system was working. The third day I lost it all back plus some, and this is where the pattern started. Win, lose big. Win small, lose medium. Win big, lose bigger. Over about 2 months of doing this on and off, I kept careful track of everything, every session, every win, every loss. At the end of those 2 months, I had lost around $800. Now here's the thing that really messed with my head. I did the math afterward. I estimated that over all those sessions, I put roughly $50 in total bets on the table. Not at once, obviously. $6 here, 12 there, pressing up, losing, betting again. Add it all up over dozens of sessions and you get to about 50 grand in total action. 1.52% of $50 is $760. I lost 800. I was almost exactly where the math said I would be. I wasn't unlucky, I wasn't cursed, I wasn't making mistakes. I was just experiencing the mathematical certainty of the house edge playing out over a large enough sample size. And this is what I need you to understand. The house edge isn't a suggestion. It's not an average that sometimes you're above and sometimes you're below. It's a mathematical certainty that, given enough bets, will extract exactly what it's supposed to extract, every single time. Let me explain how this works because it's the most important part. When you hear 1.52% house edge, what that really means is this. For every dollar you bet, you lose 1.52 cents in expected value. Not every bet, over time, in expectation. In the short term, anything can happen. You can win big, you can lose big. Variance is real, but variance is just noise. Over a large enough sample, the noise cancels out and what's left is the signal. And the signal is always the house edge. Think of it like this. If you flip a coin 100 times, you might get 55 heads and 45 tails. That's variance. But if you flip it 1,000,000 times, you're going to be really close to 500, 0 of each. The more you flip, the closer you get to the true probability. Same with gambling. Bet 100 times, you might win. Bet 1,000 times, you'll probably lose. Bet 10,000 times, you will absolutely, definitely, mathematically lose. The law of large numbers isn't a suggestion. It's a law. And here's the thing that makes it even worse. There's a mathematical concept called gambler's ruin that proves something really depressing. Gambler's ruin says that when a player with a finite bankroll plays against an opponent with an infinite bankroll, the player will eventually go broke. Not might, will. Probability 1, certainty. This is true even in a fair game, even if there's no house edge at all, even if every bet is exactly 50-50. Because variance works both ways, and eventually you'll hit a bad streak that wipes out your whole bankroll. When that happens against someone with infinite money, you're done. They can wait forever. You can't. Now add a house edge to that, even a small one like 1.52%. Now, not only does variance occasionally wipe you out, but the underlying expectation is constantly pushing you towards zero, You're swimming against a current. You might make progress for a while, but eventually you'll get tired and the current will take you. The casino has infinite money. The casino has infinite time. The casino never gets tired. The casino never has to go home. The casino never has bills to pay or kids to pick up or a job to get to in the morning. You have none of those advantages. And this brings me to the betting systems. Because I know some of you are thinking, okay, but what if I just use a really good system? I thought that too. I researched every system I could find. The martingale is probably the most famous. The idea is you bet 1 unit. If you lose, you double it. Keep doubling after every loss until you win, and you'll always end up 1 unit ahead. Sounds bulletproof, right? Table limits kill it. Every table has a maximum bet. Let's say you start with a $10 bet and the max is 5,000. You lose and bet 20, lose, bet 40, lose, bet 80, lose, bet 160, lose, bet 320, lose, bet 640, lose, bet 1,280, lose, bet 2,560, lose, bet 5,120, that's over the limit. You can't make the bet, and you're down $5,110 because you lost 10 in a row. 10 losses in a row never happens. Yeah, it does. At a 50-50 game, it happens about once every 1,000 sequences. Play long enough and you will hit it. When you do, you're destroyed. All those 1 unit wins you accumulated, gone, plus a lot more. The Fibonacci system is another one. You follow the Fibonacci sequence for your bet sizes. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, and so on. Move up when you lose, move back 2 when you win. This is just a slower bleed. The math doesn't care what sequence you're following. The D'Alembert system has you increase by 1 unit after a loss and decrease by 1 after a win. Same problem. Slow bleed. In my system, the 6 and 8 pressing strategy, variance destroys it. Yeah, when you hit a hot roll and press your bets 5 or 6 times, you make bank. But for every hot roll, there are a bunch of rolls where you press once or twice, and then 7 comes and wipes out everything you built. The wins are big but rare. The losses are smaller but constant. Every single betting system ever invented has been mathematically proven to fail. I'm not exaggerating. Mathematicians have written proofs, academic papers. It's settled science. There is no system that overcomes a house edge. None. Zero. It doesn't exist. It cannot exist. It's mathematically impossible. The casino knows this. That's why they let you use whatever system you want. They don't care. Double your bets, triple them, follow Fibonacci, follow your horoscope, doesn't matter. The edge remains. The edge always wins. Okay, so the math is bad. But the math was always bad. The house edge existed before I started playing. So why did I keep going back? Why couldn't I just quit while I was ahead? This is where psychology comes in, and honestly, this part is almost worse than the math. There's something called the hot hand fallacy. It's the belief that because you've been winning, you'll keep winning. Streak will continue. Momentum is real. You're feeling it. This is complete nonsense. Every roll of the dice is independent. The dice don't know what they rolled before. The dice don't know you're on a streak. The probability of 7 on the next roll is exactly the same whether the last 10 rolls were all 7s or none of them were. But it doesn't feel that way. When you're winning, it feels like you've tapped into something, like you've figured it out, like you've cracked the code. Your brain literally cannot process true randomness, so it invents patterns that don't exist. Then there's loss aversion. Studies have shown that losses feel about twice as bad as equivalent wins feel good. Lose $100 and it stings. Win 100 and it's nice, but not twice as nice as losing felt bad. This screws you in both directions. When you're up, you don't feel that great, so you keep playing trying to feel better. When you're down, you feel terrible, so you keep playing trying to get back to even so you don't have to feel that anymore. The sunk cost fallacy hits hard too. I've been here for 2 hours. I've put in the time. I can't leave now without something to show for it. Never mind that the time is already gone and can't be recovered. Never mind that every future decision should be based only on what's best going forward, not what happened before. And then there's dopamine. This one is biological. When you win at gambling, your brain releases dopamine. The same chemical it releases for drugs, for sex, for food. Your brain literally gets high on winning. This is why one more roll is so hard to resist. Your brain is screaming for more dopamine. It's not weakness. It's not lack of discipline. It's chemistry. Your brain is doing what brains do. Casinos know all of this. They've studied it. They have psychologists on payroll. Everything about the environment is designed to exploit these weaknesses. Why do you think they give you free drinks? Alcohol impairs judgment, makes you bet more, stay longer, ignore your limits. That watered down vodka cranberry costs them $2 and makes them 50. Why do you think there are no windows or clocks? Time doesn't exist in a casino. Is it 9 p.m. or 4 a.m.? You have no idea. Keep playing. Why do you think they have those rewards programs? They're not doing you a favor. They've calculated exactly how much you're worth to them over your lifetime, and they're giving you back a tiny fraction to keep you coming back. The chairs are comfortable. The drinks are free. The dealers are friendly. The atmosphere is exciting. All of it is designed to make you stay longer and lose more. And it works. God, it works. My strategy required quitting while ahead. Simple rule. Up 20%, leave. That's it. Just leave. I almost never did. Because when I was up 20%, I felt like I was just getting started. Why leave now? I could be up 40%, 50%. Maybe I could double my money. And sometimes I did. Sometimes I kept playing and kept winning and walked out up huge. But more often, way more often, I kept playing and the 7 came and gave it all back. Or gave it all back plus more. And even on the days I did quit ahead, I'd come back. Next weekend, next trip, just gonna play a little, just for fun. And I'd leave down more than I won the time before. The cycle repeats until you've given back everything. Because that's what the math says will happen, and math doesn't care about your feelings or your willpower or your system. I want to tell you about some numbers that put this in perspective. The average craps table in a Vegas casino makes something like $10,000 to $15,000 in profit per day. Per table. Just one table. And a big casino might have 5 or 6 of them going. That's $50,000 to $90,000 a day, just from craps, just from one game in one casino. Where does that money come from? It comes from guys like me who thought they had a system. It comes from tourists who don't understand the math. It comes from people chasing losses. It comes from people who can't quit while ahead. It comes from normal people having fun on vacation and not realizing how the numbers work. The gambling industry in America makes something like $60 billion a year. That's billion with a B, 60 billion. That money comes from somewhere. It comes from people who walked into casinos thinking they might win and walked out with less than they came in with. I was one of those people. Over my gambling career, such as it was, I contributed about $800 to that number. Some people contribute a lot more. Some people lose everything. Go to the problem gambling subreddit sometime. Search for crap system, or had a system, or thought I figured it out. You'll find hundreds of posts, thousands maybe. They all sound the same. I had a system. It was working. I was up so much. Then I lost everything. That's me. That's probably a lot of you. That's how it goes. I'm not special. I'm not uniquely unlucky or undisciplined or bad at gambling. I'm a statistic. I'm a data point. I'm exactly where the math said I would be. And so is everyone else who gambles long enough. So what's the verdict? The 6 and 8 strategy is, mathematically speaking, one of the smartest bets you can make in a casino. The house edge is tiny. The probability is in your favor more than almost any other bet. It feels logical and strategic and smart. None of that matters, because 1.52% is still greater than 0, and any number greater than 0 applied consistently over time means you lose. Not might lose, will lose. Mathematical certainty. Even if you had perfect discipline, even if you could actually quit while ahead every single time, even if you never chased a loss or stayed too long or made an emotional bet, you would still lose. Because the edge doesn't care about your discipline. The edge is built into the math. The edge extracts its percentage regardless of how you feel or what you do, and you don't have perfect discipline anyway. Nobody does. The brain chemistry thing isn't a weakness, it's biology. You literally cannot resist it. It's not your fault, but it's still true. So here's where I land. Gambling is entertainment? Sure, fine. Budget, an amount you're completely okay losing. Think of it like buying a ticket to a show. The show costs $50 or $100 or whatever you decide. If you lose it all, you pay for a few hours of excitement. If you win some, cool, bonus. But don't expect to win, don't count on it, don't need it. Gambling as a side hustle? As a way to make money? As an income strategy? No, absolutely not. The math says no. I say no. Your bank account will eventually say no too. There is no system, there is no strategy, there is no edge you can find that the casino hasn't already accounted for. The games are designed to take your money. The psychology is designed to keep you playing. The environment is designed to make you forget how long you've been there and how much you've lost. It's a machine built to extract money from people who walk through the doors, and it's really, really good at its job. I spent about $800 learning this. That's expensive tuition, but I guess I learned the lesson. Some people spend a lot more. Some people lose houses and marriages and retirement funds. Some people lose everything. If you've lost money gambling, if you thought you had a system, if you were sure you figured it out and then watched it all crumble, I want you to know something. You're not stupid. You're not weak. You're not bad at math or lacking willpower. You went up against a system specifically designed to beat you, and it did its job. The math was against you from the start. The psychology was against you. The environment was against you. It was never a fair fight, and you were never going to win in the long run. That's not your fault. But it is reality. The only winning move is not to play, or to play with money you've already mentally written off purely for entertainment with zero expectation of coming out ahead. That's where I am now. I still go to Vegas occasionally. I still play craps sometimes. But my mindset is completely different. I bring $100. I expect to lose all of it. If I do, I had some fun. If I don't, I got lucky. I don't have a system anymore. I don't track my bets. I don't press according to some strategy. I just throw a few chips out there, enjoy the atmosphere, and accept that the casino is going to win because that's what casinos do. It's more fun this way, honestly. No pressure, no expectation, no disappointment when the seven comes. Just hanging out, rolling some dice, having some drinks with my buddies. The stress of trying to beat the system was worse than just accepting I couldn't. Anyway, that's the crap story. The 6 and 8 strategy. The smartest way to play. House edge under 2%. I still lost everything. Because casinos didn't build those billion-dollar buildings by losing to guys with systems. They built them with guys like me, with guys like you. They're not guessing. They know the math. They know the psychology. They know exactly what they'll make from every player who walks through the door, and they're almost always right. Next time I'm going to tell you about the time I thought cryptocurrency was going to make me rich. Spoiler alert, it also didn't. Because apparently I have to learn the same lesson multiple times with different asset classes. If gambling has cost you money, if you learned this lesson the hard way, drop a comment. If this video saved you from making the same mistakes, let me know. We're all learning the same lessons out here. Some of us just take the scenic route. Alright, I lied. I got more to say on this. Because I feel like I glossed over some stuff that's actually important. Let me talk about the 7 for a minute, because the 7 is really the key to understanding why craps breaks your heart. There are 6 ways to roll a 7 out of 36 possible dice combinations. That's a 16.67% chance on every single roll. 1 in 6, basically. That doesn't sound that bad. 5 out of 6 times you don't roll a 7, you're surviving 5 out of 6 rolls on average. But here's the thing, you need to keep surviving. Every time you press your bet and don't take profit, you're betting on surviving again. And again, and again. If you press once, you have to survive one more roll. 83% chance, pretty good. If you press twice, you have to survive 2 more rolls. That's 83% times 83%, about 69%. Still okay? Press 3 times, 58% chance of surviving all 3. Getting dicey now. Press 4 times, 48%. Less than a coin flip. Press 5 times, 40%. You're more likely to get wiped than to survive. So when you hit that hot roll where you press 5 or 6 times and make a killing, you got lucky. Really lucky. The odds were against you surviving that long, and you did anyway. That's not skill. That's not your system working. That's variance going in your favor temporarily. And all those times you pressed once or twice and got wiped, that's not bad luck. That's the math playing out exactly as expected. The 7 will come. Every time you don't take your profit, you're betting it won't come, and eventually you're going to lose that bet. I remember one session where I built up my bets over like 15 minutes. Started with 6 on the 6, 6 on the 8. pressed and pressed and pressed. Had something like $96 on the 6 and 72 on the 8. I was up huge. The table was cheering. The shooter was throwing nothing but numbers. Then the 7 came. $168 swept off the table in one roll. Everything I had built up, gone. And here's the sick thing, I was still up overall for the session at that point. I had been taking some profit along the way. I could have walked out a winner, but I didn't feel like a winner. I felt like I had just lost $168, which emotionally I had, even though mathematically I was still up. So I kept playing to try to get that feeling back, and I ended up down for the session. Because of course I did. This is what loss aversion does to you. The wins don't feel as good as the losses feel bad, so you keep chasing, you keep playing. You keep trying to get back to some emotional state that you can never quite reach. The casino knows this. That's why they're fine with you winning sometimes. They know you'll give it back. They know the psychology. They've studied it. They're counting on it. Let me tell you about another thing that messed with my head, the near misses. I'd be standing there with money on the 6 and the 8. Shooter rolls a 5. Close to 6, rolls a 9. Close to 8, rolls a 4. Not helpful, but not a 7 either. Rolls a 5 again, so close. Rolls a 10, still alive. By the time the 7 finally came, I felt like I'd almost won a bunch of times. Like I was so close. Like the numbers just barely didn't go my way. But that's not how it works. There's no almost improbability. Either the 6 came up or it didn't. Either the 8 came up or it didn't. The 5 is not close to 6. It's a different number. It's irrelevant to my bet. But my brain kept score differently. My brain saw the 5 and thought almost. My brain saw the 9 and thought close. My brain created a narrative where I was just barely losing instead of just losing. This is the near miss effect, and it's powerful. Slot machines are specifically designed around it. They show you 2 jackpot symbols and just barely miss the third. You feel like you almost won. You didn't almost win anything. The outcome was determined before the reels started spinning. The near miss is theater. Craps isn't designed that way, but the same effect happens naturally. Every roll that isn't your number and isn't a 7 feels like a near miss. Feels like you're building towards something. Feels like the numbers are getting closer. They're not. Each roll is independent. The dice have no memory. The probability is the same every single time. But it doesn't feel that way. And what feels true matters when you're standing at a table deciding whether to keep playing. Let me also talk about something I mentioned earlier but didn't really dig into, the casino's other advantages. Yes, they have the mathematical edge. That's the obvious one. But they have so many other edges that most people don't think about. They have infinite money. If you're playing against someone with infinite money and you don't have infinite money, you will eventually bust out even if the game is perfectly fair. That's gambler's ruin. The casino can wait forever. You can't. They have infinite time. They're open 24/7. They don't get tired. They don't have to leave. You do. And when you leave, you take whatever results you have at that moment. Maybe you're up, maybe you're down. But you have to leave eventually. They never do. They have the environment. The lights, the sounds, the excitement, the free drinks, the no windows, the no clocks, the comfortable chairs. All of it is designed to keep you there longer. The longer you stay, the more you bet. The more you bet, the more the edge extracts. They have the psychology. They understand loss aversion and the hot hand fallacy and the sunk cost fallacy and the dopamine thing and all of it. They've optimized for all of it. The games, the payouts, the near misses, the occasional big wins, all designed to keep you playing. They have the data. They know exactly how much the average craps player loses per hour. They know how long the average session lasts. They know what percentage of players leave winners versus losers. They know everything and they use all of it to maximize extraction. You have none of this. You have a finite bankroll, limited time, a brain full of cognitive biases, and no data except your own faulty memory of how it went last time. It's not a fair fight. It was never a fair fight. And they're not even pretending it's a fair fight. They're just making it feel fun enough that you don't care. One more thing and then I'll wrap up. I know some of you are thinking about professional gamblers. What about the people who actually do make money gambling? They exist, right? They do exist. But they're not playing craps. They're not playing roulette. They're not playing any table game with a house edge. Professional gamblers are either playing poker, which isn't gambling against the house, It's playing against other people where skill actually matters, or they're doing sports betting at an extremely high level with proprietary models and analytics that give them a genuine edge against the books. Notice neither of those involves casino table games. Because you cannot make a living playing craps or blackjack or roulette or slots, it is mathematically impossible. The edge is built in. The edge cannot be overcome with any strategy. Card counting in blackjack is the one exception where a skilled player can actually gain an edge. But casinos know about card counting. They watch for it. They ban you if they catch you. And you have to be really good at it, not just sort of okay at it. For most people, it's not a realistic path. So when you see someone online claiming they have a system that beats craps, they're either lying, confused, or on a temporary winning streak that's going to reverse. When you see some guru selling a betting strategy, they're making their money from selling the strategy, not from using it. There is no secret. There is no system. There is no edge you can find that the casino hasn't accounted for. The house always wins. That's not a saying. That's not a cliche. That's math. Okay, now I'm actually done. The 6 and 8. Lowest house edge. Smartest strategy. Disciplined approach. Lost everything anyway, because 1.52% is still greater than zero. And over time, greater than zero always wins. That's not opinion. That's not pessimism. That's just math. Casinos didn't build billion-dollar buildings by losing to guys with systems. They built them with our money, my money, your money. If you gamble, know what you're getting into. Set a budget you're fine losing. Don't expect to win. Don't need to win. Just enjoy the entertainment and accept the cost. That's the only way to come out ahead. By not needing to come out ahead, everything else is just feeding the machine. See you next time when I tell you about crypto, because I guess I needed to learn this lesson again with a different coat of paint. If this hit home for you, if you've been there, if you've lost money thinking you had it figured out, drop a comment. Let's talk about it. We're all out here learning the same things. Later. Actually, you know what? I want to go even deeper on a few things because I feel like I'm not fully getting across how insidious this whole thing is. Let me tell you about the specific sessions that broke me. There was one night, it was like 11 p.m. I had been playing for maybe 3 hours. I was up about $200. That was my target. That was my quit point. I was supposed to leave. But the table was hot, like really hot. The same guy had been shooting for almost 45 minutes. Every time he threw the dice, people cheered. The pit boss was watching. Other players were pressing their bets huge. There was electricity in the air, and I thought, this doesn't happen that often. This shooter is special. Why would I leave now when the table is this hot? So I stayed, and the shooter finally sevened out. And I gave back about $75 on that last roll because I had pressed my bets up. But I was still up like 125, still a good night, but now I was annoyed. I had been up 200, and now I was up 125. I lost $75 that I had already won. Didn't feel good, so I kept playing to get back to 200. New shooter. Rolled twice and sevened out. Lost another $24. New shooter. Made a point, rolled for a few minutes. I built up a little, then 7. Basically broke even on that one. New shooter. Come out roll 7. Come out roll 11. Pass line wins. Come out roll 7. Come out roll 7. Come out roll craps. Come out roll, the point is 4. I had been standing there for like 20 minutes and barely had a chance to play because the shooters kept sevening out on the come out roll. Finally, a point got established and I placed my 6 and 8. Shooter rolled 7, lost $12. Now I was up maybe 90, and I was frustrated and tired. It was like 1 a.m. I should have left. I was still up $90. That's a win. That's almost 50% return on my original $200 bankroll. But I didn't feel like I had won. I felt like I had lost $110 that I used to have, so I kept playing. By 3 a.m., I was down 50 for the night. I had turned a $200 win into a $50 loss. A $250 swing in the wrong direction because I couldn't walk away when I was supposed to, and I told myself it was bad luck. The table went cold. What was I supposed to do? I was supposed to leave at 200. That was the plan. I didn't follow the plan. My brain wouldn't let me follow the plan. That's the psychology part that I think is actually harder to beat than the math. The math is abstract. You can read about house edges and expected values and gambler's ruin and understand it intellectually, but the psychology hits you in the moment. It hits you when you're tired and drinking and up a bunch of money and everyone's cheering and the dice are rolling. In that moment, leaving feels impossible, staying feels inevitable. And the casino knows this. They're counting on this. That's why they create the environment they create. Let me tell you about another session. This one started bad. I was down $100 in the first 20 minutes, cold table, nothing hitting, 7 after 7 after 7. My loss limit was $100. I was supposed to leave. But I thought, this table can't stay cold forever. It has to turn around. The probability doesn't change, but surely we're due for some numbers. That's gambler's fallacy. The idea that past results influence future probability. They don't. But it feels like they should, so I stayed, and I rebought another 100 in chips, and the table did warm up a little. I won back about $50. Now I was down 50 overall, but I had 150 in front of me because I rebought. I felt like I was doing well because I had more chips than I started with on the rebuy. That's exactly how they want you to think. Ignore the money you already lost. Focus on what's in front of you. Keep playing. I kept playing. By the end of that session, I was down $300. 3 times my original buy-in, triple my loss limit, and I justified it. I was just trying to get even. I almost had it, if that one shooter had just held on a little longer. The shooter didn't know me anything. The dice didn't know me anything. I was the one making irrational decisions based on feelings instead of following the rules I set for myself. That session was when I started to realize that maybe I wasn't as disciplined as I thought I was. Maybe the strategy wasn't really about math at all. Maybe it was about psychology. And maybe my psychology was broken, or not broken, normal. Because this is what normal human brains do. We're not built for this. We're not built to understand probability. We're not built to resist dopamine. We're not built to walk away from potential rewards. Casinos are exploiting the fact that we're still running on caveman software in a modern world. Our brains evolved for an environment where rewards were scarce and you took them when you could get them. In that environment, quit while ahead didn't make sense. You didn't quit. You took everything you could because who knew when the next opportunity would come. But in a casino, the opportunities keep coming. The dice keep rolling. The slot machines keep spinning. There's always another chance. And our caveman brains just keep going, not understanding that this is a trap. Natural selection didn't prepare us for Las Vegas. I want to talk about something else too, the social aspect. Craps is the most social game in the casino. It's the only one where everyone is basically betting on the same thing. When the shooter makes their point, almost everyone at the table wins. When the shooter sevens out, almost everyone loses. This creates a communal experience that you don't get at blackjack or roulette or slots. You're cheering together, you're groaning together, you're high-fiving strangers when the numbers hit. That social element makes it harder to leave. When you're the only one at a blackjack table, leaving is easy, you just walk away. When you're at a craps table with 8 other people and the shooter is hot and everyone is having a great time, leaving feels like abandoning the group, like you're letting everyone down, like you're being the buzzkill who goes home early from the party. That's obviously irrational. The other players don't care if you leave. They're focused on their own bets, but it feels like they'll notice. It feels like leaving is somehow wrong. This kept me at tables longer than I should have stayed many, many times. And then there's the inverse. When you're at a cold table and everyone is losing, there's this sense of shared misery that bonds you together. We're all in this together. We've all lost money tonight. Let's keep going and see if it turns around. Misery loves company, and company makes misery more bearable, so you stay. Either way, hot table or cold table, the social dynamics push you towards staying longer and betting more than you intended. The casino knows this too. That's why craps is in the middle of the floor where everyone can see and hear it. That's why the tables are designed to fit a lot of players. That's why the dealers encourage cheering and excitement. All of it is designed to create that social environment that keeps you glued to the rail. I also want to address the professional craps players you'll see on YouTube and stuff. There are guys who make videos about craps strategies. They have names for their systems. They show clips of big wins. They talk about their methods like they've cracked the code. Here's what you need to understand about these people. They're making their money from YouTube, not from craps. Think about it. If they had a system that actually beat the casino, why would they tell anyone? Why would they share it? The more people who use an edge, the more likely the casino catches on and fixes it. You don't share a real edge, you exploit it quietly until it stops working. But if your edge is just normal variance, winning some, losing some, cherry-picking the winning sessions for your videos, then sharing it makes perfect sense. Every video you post grows your audience. Every viewer is a potential subscriber. Every subscriber is AD revenue. They're not making money gambling. They're making money telling you about gambling. And the clips they show, those are real wins. They really did press their bets up and hit a hot roll and make $500. That happened. But they're not showing you the other 10 sessions where they lost. They're not showing the cold tables. They're not showing the times they sevened out immediately, because that doesn't make good content. It's survivorship bias in video form. You see the wins because the wins get posted. You don't see the losses because nobody wants to watch that. This made it harder for me to accept that my strategy wasn't working, because I could point to videos of people winning with the same approach. See, it works for them. I just need to get better at it. No, they're experiencing variance just like me. They're just only showing you one side of it. Okay, I think I've beaten this horse thoroughly dead at this point. Let me try to sum up what I learned from all of this in a way that might actually be useful. First, you can't beat casino games in the long run. This is mathematical fact. The house edge exists and it always wins given enough time. No strategy changes this. No system changes this. No discipline changes this. If you're playing against an edge, you're going to lose eventually. Second, short-term results don't mean anything. You can win tonight, you can win this week, you can win this month. That's variance, that's noise. It doesn't mean your strategy works. It doesn't mean you found something. It just means you're on the lucky side of a random distribution temporarily. Given enough play, you will regress to the expected value, which is negative. Third, your psychology is working against you. Hot hand fallacy, loss aversion, sunk cost fallacy, dopamine addiction, all of it. Your brain is actively sabotaging your ability to make good decisions at a casino. This isn't weakness, this is biology. You can't think your way out of it. Fourth, the casino environment is designed to exploit you. Every detail, from the lights to the sounds, to the lack of windows, to the free drinks, to the friendly dealers, is optimized to keep you there longer and betting more. You're not playing against just the house edge. You're playing against decades of psychological research applied specifically to separate you from your money. Fifth, entertainment is fine, income is not. If you want to go to a casino, budget what you're willing to lose, expect to lose it, and consider it the cost of entertainment, like buying a concert ticket or going to a movie. The experience has value even if you walk out with less money than you walked in with. But never ever think of gambling as a way to make money.
Cutting through the noise, from crash sites to Chronicles, truth ain't folklore toys. Static in the stars, classified lies unravel, from Rosal to the moon.